Good Thursday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. Hopefully, everyone has had a fantastic Thursday. I am your meteorologist, Peterson, and let's go in and talk about the weather for your Thursday evening going into your future. We have a lot. We have a lot that we are going to talk about tonight. We will be talking about the rainfall that will continue to occur every single day. We will continue also to talk about the flash flooding, the heavy rain risk that will continue as we move through this weekend. And then also, we will also talk about a ridge influence. As the upper ridge strengthens, shifting west by Sunday, it will kind of limit our convection as we get into obviously that Sunday going through, and it may enhance potentially the precipitable amounts by Wednesday. So we have a good amount to talk about today. Also, Hurricane Aaron. Well, future Hurricane Aaron. It's not a hurricane yet, but it's very close. I think it's like only like 4 miles per hour shy of a hurricane. So a good amount of stuff to talk about. If you have not hit the like button or the subscribe button yet, make sure you go in and do so. Hit the share button as well. Share it with all of the people that you know. We are trying to get to 600. Yes, 600 subscribers. And we are currently now at 571. We only need 29 more people to go on and hit that subscribe button, and we will be there to 600. Also, we are only 4 subscribers away as well from 575. That would be the 3/4 of a way there mark. So let's go on and get there as well. I mean, a quick short-term goal, 4 subscribers. We should get there relatively soon, at least by the end of this week, early next week. So let's go on and talk with the recorded audience for the people who can unfortunately not make it here tonight. Good Thursday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. Hopefully, everyone has had a fantastic Thursday. I am your meteorologist, Peterson. Let's go ahead and talk about the weather for your Thursday evening going into your future. As we look at what's going on right now throughout the entire state, we do have isolated shower and thunderstorm activity right now that goes from Greenwood over towards Chester, and then also over here inside the low country from Branchville down towards Harleyville. As you move on over here to McClellanville and Ondal, though, we actually do have a little thunderstorm here that is occurring. You can even see by the little lightning tracker thing here has an 81% chance of producing that lightning, and I can actually see that lightning right now outside of my window, and that's around 40 miles to the east of me. So I can see 40 miles to the east of that cloud cover right there that is producing that thunderstorm. If we go on and continue, though, and look at what's going on throughout the entire United States, we do have some rainfall going on inside of North Carolina, Virginia, getting in on some of that flooding. Mississippi getting on some of that flooding, as well as Louisiana. Texas getting some rainfall up all the way into Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Florida getting some rainfall, and then also some rainfall going on from the Four Corners region going into Nevada, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming down into Colorado. As we move on to our cloud cover, we do in fact have cloud cover that is present. Now, how present is it? Not much. We're not seeing too much cloud cover right now. Yes, you do have some up there in the upstate. You do obviously have somewhere that storm is over there, like we were just talking about near Georgetown, going up into like near Allendale, somewhere around that kind of in between those 2 points. We have that thunderstorm happening, and that cloud cover stretches all the way up to Myrtle Beach. But for the most part, most of us are actually clear right now, so that is a good thing. Especially after we've had days and days and days of just overcast skies that CAD finally broke. And we are now, we actually had some fun in the sun today. Going into our cloud cover, though, for the long-term future, you can see that cloud cover will start to build a little bit by tomorrow morning, but again, not as widespread, and it's actually going to be not too cloudy at all tomorrow. Going into our current temperatures, 82 in Columbia as well as 81 in Orangeburg, 79 in Sumter as well as 77 in Florence, 78 in Conway, and 80 in Myrtle Beach, 80 in Murrells Inlet as well as 79 in Georgetown, 80 in Somerville as well as 82 in downtown Charleston, 78 in Spartanburg, and 78 also in downtown Greenville, 79 also in Rock Hill and Anderson, going into 77 in Clemson, 83 inside of Aiken. For your low temperatures for tonight, 72 in Greenville and Spartanburg, as well as 72 in Rock Hill, 72 in Lawrence and Newberry, as well as 72 in Winnsboro, 74 in Columbia, and 75 in Orangeburg, 78 in Charleston, and 75 in Moncks Corner, 74 in Walterboro, 78 for Hilton Head Island, 75 for Georgetown and Myrtle Beach. As we go into our rainfall, good amount of rainfall is possible, but a couple of regions might not get any rainfall at all. That's some places maybe like Florence or Dillon or Sumter or Cheraw. But other regions that might get some rainfall, Kingstree, Myrtle Beach, that's 1/100 of an inch to 1/10 of an inch. For Kingstree, Myrtle Beach, Georgetown, Moncks Corner. Going into some other regions as well that might not be highlighted. Newberry is one of them. 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch goes for Rock Hill, goes for Spartanburg, goes all the way up into Columbia and Orangeburg. Charleston also has that threat, as well as Walterboro and Hilton Head Island. 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch from Anderson over towards Greenwood and Aiken, and then 1/2 an inch to 1 inch for Barnwell going into Greenville and Lawrence. Somebody might get an isolated 1.5 inches in terms of rainfall for the next 24 hours. It's possible. But it's, obviously going to be more on that isolated side. Not too many people will really see that. But we'll go on and check out the models. But first, obviously, like I always say during this time, you might get more than what the models here than what this map right here shows. You might get less. Obviously, this will not be 100% on the accurate side. It just obviously is what the National Weather Service / models kind of agree on, and obviously we cannot predict how intense those thunderstorms will be. So we really just have to just sit back, and if you're in the area that's going to get some rainfall, or that says it's going to get some rainfall, have the umbrella with you. For tonight, though, the crazy score is inside of the mild category, slightly breezy or cloudy, but no major concerns. And honestly, I believe not really because of any sort of clouds or any sort of like breezy conditions, but just for the patchy fog risk that goes in for tonight, the isolated shower and thunderstorm activity that will continue. Also, just going to be warm and humid tonight as well. So that's probably the main reasons why we're at a 24. But again, not enough to get into the moderate. For the SPC outlook, everyone has a chance for a thunderstorm, which is kind of interesting to say the least. But they still have the thunderstorm risk up here for the entire state. They actually did just release an update around not too long ago now. So let's see what the next update says. This one actually has it a bit more reduced. So here's the new one. Honestly looks a lot better. But thunderstorm risk goes all the way from Myrtle Beach all the way up into Conway, moves through the entire low country, still has a chance for a thunderstorm. Also, that western border of the upstate going into Georgia and North Carolina has a thunderstorm risk as well on that western side. So a lot less or a lot different than the model that we just saw where it had thunderstorms possible for the entire state. This one obviously is a lot more reduced. And if you go into tomorrow, thunderstorms are also possible for the entire state of South Carolina. Everyone will have the ingredients. Just will the convection fire and where will it go is the main question. Saturday, same thing. Everyone has a chance for a thunderstorm. Excessive rainfall is the next big thing. I mean, obviously with scattered to isolated flash flooding occurring daily at this point, they're not really too much of a surprise, but we do have a scattered risk of flooding. Let me see if I can refresh it just to make sure I have the latest information, which I do. We do have a slight risk of excessive rainfall that goes all the way from the Midlands over into the Tri-County region of Dorchester, Berkeley, and Charleston County. PD region is included, and all of the Grand Strand is included. So everyone inside of those regions need to still watch out for some scattered flash flooding, even though, for the most part, most of that shower and thunderstorm activity is out of here, and honestly, this probably will go away by the next update later tonight. Going into tomorrow, we actually do have some more flash flooding that is possible, and I forgot to mention for day one, everyone else that's not inside the yellow is inside the green. The green is isolated flash flooding. Day two, this is tomorrow for Friday going into Saturday morning. Scattered flash flooding possible up there for the Greenville, Anderson, Clemson region as well. That is for a 15% chance of flash flooding. And if you're in the green, which is the rest of the state, you have a 5% chance or that isolated flash flood risk as you move into tomorrow. Now for day 3, this is for Saturday going into Sunday morning. Minor flooding, if not isolated flash flooding, is possible as we go through from Columbia down through to Orangeburg, through the entire low country, through all of the Grand Strand and the PD region, all the way up into the Greenville and far upstate region up there. That is for, again, Saturday going into Sunday. Everyone else inside this middle part in the white, no threat for any flash flooding for now. And look at this, we have a break day 4 and day 5 for Sunday and Monday as that ridge that I was just talking about develops. We'll talk about that once we get done talking about the future. But before we even talk about the long-term future, we got to talk about the short-term future first. So here we go. Time is in the top right corner of your screen. Make sure you go in and pay attention to that. As you push this forward, you can see that the rainfall really does decrease as we get through the nighttime hours. By 1 to 2 to 3 to maybe even 4 a.m., you're not seeing much rainfall at all. And that will continue as you move all the way through. Now, once you get to tomorrow afternoon, obviously, there still will be that isolated to scattered shower and thunderstorm activity, even by around 2 p.m. Now, you're seeing some up there in the upstate. You're seeing some over there by 4 o'clock in the side of the PD region. And then you have some in the low country by around 5, 6, 7 o'clock. And then even up there inside of the upstate, you're still receiving that rainfall activity. And that's most likely why you have that scattered risk of flash flooding. Just because, I mean, you can see just a lot of rainfall moving through. And that rainfall will continue all the way through to 10 to 11 to 12 a.m. on August the 16th, where rainfall will continue to move its way down south towards Georgia. And then by the time you turn around 5 to 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning on August the 16th for our Saturday, it actually is a lot drier. It is a lot drier. But obviously we get back into that Saturday afternoon time frame, and that rainfall will be on repeat. So there's not a whole lot here that's really different, except for we really just have to continue to bring the umbrella with you during the daytime, especially if you're up there in the upstate for tomorrow, as you have that scattered flash flood risk, and you probably will be one of the first to get rainfall tomorrow. That's it for the short-term future, though. Let's go on and talk about the long-term future. So we're going to start off here on pretty much where we just left off at. If we continue to push this forward, you can see a high pressure here starting to get going around August the 17th. We've been looking at that high pressure, and if you have been paying attention for about like the past 3, 4, 5 days or now, I've been talking about August the 17th through like the 19th, maybe even the 20th, being some pretty quiet days just for this high pressure. And August the 17th still looking pretty quiet for now, but that will transition more to the 18th and the 19th as that rainfall starts to get a lot more on the higher side, especially once we get past this weekend going into next week. As that ridge will break, we will have low pressure here, and by August the 22nd, which I know that's cut off, let me see if I can go in and fix that real quick. You should be able to see it right now. There you go. As you continue to push this forward, though, you can see that by August the 22nd going into August the 23rd, low pressure is still here, and that definitely does bring a good amount of rainfall. And you can see down there in the bottom of your screen, first off, this is 300 hours out, so anything that we see here, we can't really rely too much on. But, yes, you can see that, I know, on the bottom of your screen. This, indeed, actually is not even Erin. This is the storm behind Erin, and I've been saying that for about, like, a good week, or maybe even close to 2 weeks now at this point, that Erin, if it was to occur, which it is right now, there would be more behind it. There would be more behind Erin, and this is a great example of it, just to show you. Now, this is one model run, so this is not, anything that will for sure happen, and it should not be set in stone. This is the 27th. We are 13 days out from this, so for sure this will change. But this just goes to show you that after Erin, we're still not done. We are still not done, so you still have to keep your guard up, even if Erin moves out, and it does not impact us at all, because we'll have one after the other, after the other. So, but that's just, what that shows. It moves its way inland and kind of just stalls over. So that would definitely bring a lot of rainfall, though, and definitely strong hurricane force winds, but again, 300 hours out. One thing that I also do want to look at, if we go into around August the 22nd-ish, if we go to the temperature anomalies right here, you can see I've been talking about this heat and this cooler air kind of going on, and it's kind of just been a battle zone inside of South Carolina for a good bit. I mean, you can see warm and cold air kind of just taking, areas, but then, the warm air kind of takes it back, then the cold air gets another area, then it's just been doing this thing back and forth. And, you're not really seeing too much of anything in terms of like a cold front or anything like that. This is, the hurricane that we just saw. That would bring us definitely some below average temperatures. But, I mean, pretty much, you're not really seeing anything too defined. I mean, yes, you do have some cold air pushing in, but that's most likely from like storm systems. But nothing, I don't see really anything in terms of a full-on cold front right now. And if it is a cold front, it's not a strong one at all. It is not a strong one at all. But that's it for the GFS. That's what I wanted to show there. Let's go on real quick. And before we go on and talk about the tropics, I just want to talk about this real quick. I don't think I can go to the eastern U.S. though. If you look right here, this is tomorrow. This is tomorrow morning right here. And you can see the ridge down to our south. And that ridge will slowly make its way west. You can see that as it moves its way west. That's what's going to cause us to have less widespread activity in terms of that rainfall. If you were wondering why, we potentially would not be getting as much rainfall as we would usually see, like on like a regular summer day. This ridge right here is going to push through, and obviously it has that high pressure with it, and so that will for sure kind of limit that activity. So I just want to explain why real quick. So let's go on now and talk about the tropics. Obviously, the main thing being Tropical Storm Erin. It is a 70-mile-per-hour storm, a 70-mile-per-hour storm. It has minimum central pressure at 900. Yes, 900. Finally out of that 1,000 range. 999 millibars, and is moving west at 17 miles per hour. Now, here's what Erin looks like right now. So while I go on to discuss this, you can go on and look at it. It says heavy rainfall across the northernmost Leeward Islands and the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands, as well as southern and eastern Puerto Rico, may lead to isolated flash and urban flooding, along with landslides or mudslides this weekend into early next week. Tropical storm conditions are possible for portions of the northern Leeward Islands, where tropical storm watches are in effect beginning on Saturday as the core of Erin passes north of these islands. Tropical storm conditions could also occur in portions of the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico later in the weekend, and additional watches may be required tonight or on Friday. While there is still uncertainty in what impact might occur in portions of the Bahamas, the east coast of the United States, and Bermuda next week, the risk of dangerous surf and rip currents across the western Atlantic basin next week is increasing. So, for sure, that high surf, that rip current threat is increasing more and more. And so we definitely, even if we don't get any impact from Erin at all, we will for sure have to watch out for rip currents and high surf. This is the code for Erin right here, the 8 o'clock p.m. one that got updated. Again, sustained winds at 70 miles per hour is expected to become a hurricane tomorrow. Rather that be late morning or early afternoon. Somewhere around there will become a hurricane, and it will become a major hurricane on Sunday. When exactly on Sunday? They're saying 2 o'clock p.m., but it could potentially be earlier than that, could potentially be later than that. But for now, it's looking like 2 p.m. on Sunday. And you can also see this area up here, and you can see that the curve that it's taking, again, this thing can either go up here to the west, it could go up here through the center, it could go over towards Bermuda. We don't know the exact details for that yet. But we are getting closer. We are getting very close to knowing those details, though, as it is pretty much almost the weekend. Let's go on now and look at the models for it, though. So this is the global hurricane ones. Again, most have it turning out to sea before it even impacts us or even Bermuda for that point. But Obviously, you have a couple of stragglers that kind of go to the more to the west, and so those are the ones that we're really gonna have to look at and watch for. Now, for this is the GFS one. This one shows kind of like the median point, still being in between the U.S. coast and Bermuda, but you still have a couple to the east, you have a couple to the west, and so you can just see just how uncertain we are. And we really, like I said, we really won't know um, we really won't know the exact track or even like an idea until we get to around that Saturday/Sunday time frame to where we can actually have the models more agreeing towards each other. As you can still see, a lot of them are still far off. Here is the intensity guidance. You can see most of them. Again, I mean, it's going to become a hurricane. I don't think that anyone's really doubting that anymore. It will become a hurricane. Will it become a major hurricane? Most likely. It's actually expected to become a major hurricane still. A Category 4 hurricane obviously is possible, though, as you can see, a couple of models kind of have it up here inside of the Category 4 Category 4 space. So Category 4 conditions are possible, but it will most likely either be off the sea by that time, because that's around 84, 96 hours out, but it just matters on where it goes. It just really just matters on where it goes at that point in time. But that's it for the intensity guidance. I do want to show one more though, and it's this one. This is the European one. We're going to go to the loop real quick, and then we're going to go on and do this. We're going to stop it and go right over here. This one is a bit more on the interesting side because, well, you do have some low pressures over here that formed, but that has nothing to do with Aaron. But you have a couple still that go over, like for North Carolina, for example, up towards Virginia. You still have a couple that kind of go a little bit more to the east, but again, most of them just have that curve, and so that's looking like the more likely solution for right now, obviously, because the majority obviously is taking that curve, not counting out any like dissenters or anything like that, but for the most part, it's looking like that this might take that curve a bit earlier, but never can rule anything out, especially right now. So that's it pretty much for that. Let me go and talk about the individual model runs now, and none of them really are like too kind of just like too surprising or anything like that. Most of them are kind of the same, some a bit further west, some a bit on the more eastern side, some in the center. But this is the GFS one right here. There's Aaron right there, and then it kind of just moves its way off and would just cause that surf and that rip current damage and some like the life-threatening rip currents and high surf as well. That will continue to move its way up and kind of meets where like the hour mark is, the 150 hour mark, going over towards the 156. If we look at and see where this was like just around 6 hours ago, around the same spot, but you can see it's kind of ticking east. And again, this is the more back we go. So it is seeming to kind of take a little bit still more of a western track, but I mean, it's been doing that for a good amount of time now. Yesterday, though, it was, again, a bit further east, though. Now for the European one, this one has Aaron kind of over here, but it gets a little bit further west. It does get a little bit further west, causing possibly some rainfall activity. I mean, you can see the bands kind of out there trying to reach the coast, and then obviously this is a longer term model, so it's not going to be as precise. So something to watch for there. For the ECAI one, this one kind of just goes, again, same spot under the time frame. For the CMC, this one's a lot more further east, but it still kind of just maneuvers its way over. And then the Icon being the last one, which this one, you can't go any further than this. You can look at the one from around 6 hours ago, and that one just kind of moves its way, gets very close, I will say. Gets pretty close. Does get pretty close. Now, what I will say, though, is that this is just one model run, but the one after it looks a little bit on... I'm not going to say concerning, but I'm not going to bring out the C word or anything like that, but I will say that if it does get that close, as modeled here, not only probably we have the chance for that life-threatening rip currents or maybe that high surf, but also just some wind with it. Will it be hurricane force? Most likely not. Will it be even tropical storm force? Possibly not. But just will it be gusty? Probably, and maybe even some rain with it as well. But that's it for the individual ones. I don't want to talk about those, a whole lot just because they're one run. You can't really do too much with them except for I just kind of just put them all together. But that's it for the tropics. There's nothing else really for me to say about Aaron though. There is one thing though, and it's over here like in the Gulf. This one is disturbance one over here. This is Invest 98. Recent geostationary and microwave satellite imagery indicates that shower and thunderstorm activity is showing some signs of organization with a small area of low pressure located over the southwestern Gulf. An earlier Air Force reconnaissance mission found that the system lacks a well-defined low-level circulation, though, but the low is forecasted to move west-northwest to northwestward across the western Gulf during the next day or so, and environmental conditions appear generally favorable for further development. A tropical depression could form before the system moves inland over northeastern Mexico or southern Texas by late Friday. Regardless of development, locally heavy rainfall is possible along portions of northeastern Mexico and southern Texas over the next few days. And the Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter aircraft is scheduled to investigate the system again tomorrow morning. So this has no threat to South Carolina at all, but it could potentially become a tropical depression before it reaches southern Texas. So kind of a big jump. I mean, they weren't really saying too much for this thing to really do much. It probably just bring some rainfall. But now they're potentially even talking about a tropical depression now before that thing moves in. So that's interesting to see, though. Before we go on and talk with the audience, let's go on and talk about the drought. The drought predictions inside the chat. We've had a couple of votes out here. And so far, nobody has said that a drought has started. 20% says that the abnormally dry has spread. And 20% says that the abnormally dry has kind of like sustained or actually went down. And then 60% says, I said that the drought is gone. I definitely mistyped that. I meant to say that the abnormally dry is gone. So I do apologize for that. If the abnormally dry is gone, I'll count that for the people that said that the drought is gone. But I do apologize for that. I did mistype that. But for now, that's just what the poll says. So let's go in and look at the drought monitor. My prediction was that the abnormally dry was going to be sustained or less. And would you look at that? The abnormally dry is completely gone. There is no drought. There is no abnormally dry at all. So we no longer are inside of any sort of dryness, at least from a statewide perspective for now. Now, where you are on your at your house, or you may not have gotten rain in a good couple of days. You might say, it's a bit dry. But in terms of a statewide perspective, we're not in any abnormally dries. We're not in a drought. So congrats to the 67% of people that got that correct. So yes, that is a good amount of people. Most people got it correct. I'm so happy that most people got it, because honestly, I even got it wrong as well. I honestly thought that the abnormally dry is sustained. I probably thought it was going to be less, or no, I thought that it was going to be less, but I would put myself inside the category with the abnormally dry is sustained or less. So congratulations to y'all, and that's one reason why I say that, even if I pick something, you don't have to pick it just from what I say. Pick it from what you think and what you have at least seen from these forecasts in terms of rainfall. But that's all that we have for the drought. So again, congratulations to those people. Let's go on now and talk with the live audience. If you want to be part of the audience, you can by joining us at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off with Mr. Anthony first. He says, good evening, weatherman. Good evening to you. My Aunt Lula also says, good evening, everyone in Georgetown. We had a lot of thunderstorms. There is a thunderstorm that actually, again, is now off your coast now, moving off down there towards like McClellanville, but from Georgetown, most of it has moved. Mr. Chris then comes in and says, "Good evening, everyone from Moncks Corner, South Carolina. Had some rain earlier today and heavy, as that thunder and had thunder and lightning as well." So thank you. First off, thank you so much for that weather update. Good evening to you. Dad says, "Good evening, Joseph. It was another hot one today. I hope all is well. All is well. Good evening to you." Mr. Chris also says, "Remember to hit that like button and subscribe button as well." Let's go in and check real quick. We've had 39 people tune in, and we only have 6 likes. I don't know what's going on there. We've had 39 people tune in. I have no idea why we only have 6 likes. 33 people decided to show up and just did not hit the like button at all. So if you are a part of that 33 that did not go on and hit the like button, please go on and do so. If you don't know how to, you just go on. If you're in full screen, you go on. If you're on like a phone or a laptop or computer, you just go on and press the like button right there. It's right next to the dislike, the share button, all of that stuff right under the video. And if you're on a TV, I'm pretty sure that you have to kind of go down, or you have to press. I believe you have to go kind of like down and then go back up, and the like button should be right there, though. Because I know some people do watch me on a TV, though. And I do appreciate that. Trail then also says, "Greetings, everyone. Greetings to you." Mr. Chris also says, "Truly enjoyed today. Had a chance to finally wash my truck, and it was well needed." That is fantastic. Fantastic. To hear that you got to wash that. I need to probably wash my car soon. I have no idea when. But I just watched it around, like, I believe last week. I believe I watched it last week. Miss Cindy says, "You are amazing. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for tuning in." Mr. Kristen also says that, "I just hope the rain holds off on Saturday. The wife and I are celebrating our wedding anniversary on Saturday, and we want a decent day." Well, first off, congratulations to both of you. And for Saturday, for the most part, I can go on and give you that real quick. We can go on and move on over here towards the southeast real quick. We'll go back over it. If I go over towards Saturday, though, Saturday is 3 days out. So we can go to the NAM, though. NAM overall, for Saturday, it doesn't look too bad. I'm not going to lie at all. Saturday does not look too bad. I mean, you will have that chance for an isolated shower or downpour to occur, but for the most part, it doesn't look too bad at all. It does not look too bad at all. So it should be at least a pretty decent day. And that's all that we have. That is all that we have. That says happy anniversary. That is true. That is true. Again, happy anniversary to the both of y'all early, and we're going to give a round of applause for that as well. So that's it there. Let's go on now, since we're done talking with the audience. Again, we'll come back if we have to, if we have any more chats. Talk about the 4 locations outside of South Carolina, that being San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. Starting off with San Antonio first. Low temperatures tonight, 78. High temperatures tomorrow at 98. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at 77. There is a slight chance of thunderstorms tonight, but tomorrow, isolated thunderstorms are possible tomorrow during the day, and scattered showers are also possible tomorrow night. There is indeed no threat for any sort of severe weather. For excessive rainfall, though, no threat for tonight, going into tomorrow as well. But on Saturday, you do in fact have a threat for some excessive rainfall. That is obviously from that low pressure that's potentially going to become a tropical depression as we move in through like tomorrow. But that will bring a minor flash flood threat on Saturday. And that's pretty much all that you have in terms of excessive rainfall. For Raleigh, North Carolina being the next one, with low temperatures tonight 73, high temperatures tomorrow at 90, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 73. Slight chance of thunderstorms tonight, chance of thunderstorms tomorrow during the day, and tomorrow night as well. You do have a minor risk of flooding tonight and tomorrow, but after that, That's pretty much all that you have for excessive rainfall. If you move into severe weather, there is indeed, let me check and see this real quick, no severe weather that is expected as you move through the next 3 days, 3 to 8 days. Now for Philadelphia, low temperatures tonight 73, high temperatures tomorrow at 88, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 70. No precipitation is expected tomorrow night, but tomorrow there is a chance of thunderstorms, though tomorrow during the day, and then there also is a slight chance of thunderstorms tonight as well. Severe weather is not expected at this time either. And then for excessive rainfall, there is indeed no threat for any sort of excessive rainfall. Now, if we go on and look at the last location being Duncan, Oklahoma, low temperatures tonight at 75, high temperatures tomorrow at 98, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 75. No precipitation is expected at this time. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, there is no excessive rainfall that's expected there, no severe weather. And so that's it for those 4 locations. What's going on throughout the entire U.S. weather news-wise? Hot temperatures are forecast over the plains and into the lower Mississippi River Valley Friday, where heat advisories have been issued for portions from Nebraska down through Kansas to Oklahoma, through Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi as well. Heavy rain from a disturbance in the western Gulf could bring flooding to southern Texas. Aaron could also bring tropical storm conditions and heavy rainfall to Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands this weekend, with dangerous surf and rip currents impacting the western basin. We also do have some red flag warnings or just some fire concerns from Montana down through Idaho, Utah, and Colorado. And for the most part, that's all that I pretty much see that's really important. So let me go in and check out the chat one more time. Don't see, let me see. Ms. Chris says, yes, 28 years, very blessed to have such a wonderful wife and putting up with me. That is a very, very great thing to have. And like I said, when it comes to Saturday, go on and let us know again, and we'll give you another round of applause for that. Going on, I do want to check and see if there is anything in terms of my email to see if we had any new videos or pictures that were sent in. Again, if you want to send me any pictures, you can by sending them to scweather360@gmail.com, and we did. We have one from Thad, who sent me this at 7:02 p.m. This is another picture of his thermometer that he has outside. And it is right now, I mean, kind of at that 100, that's 110, 108, 106 degrees. Now, that might also be including some feel-like temperature in there as well. Even though it's only around like 25% humidity. But that might also include in some of that heat index as well. So that's why I think it's a little bit high. But for the most part, 106, that's what you got at your house. So thank you so much for sending that. Again, if you want to send them to me, you can by sending them to scweather360@gmail.com. You can send any pictures that you want there. And that's all that we have for tonight. If you did enjoy, again, make sure you go and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, because we are so close to 600 subscribers. We're at 29. Go on and share it to all the people that you know. It's just a vital time to have weather information. I know some people just kind of just look and just kind of just say, oh, well, the hurricane's not really going to impact us. But then they go to the beach or something like that, and then a rip current happens or a high surf event happens, and a lot of stuff can occur. And so if they don't have the weather information, obviously they won't know. So make sure that you go on and share it to them, whether it be with people that you know or people that you just met in a grocery store, or even if it's on social media, it just does not matter at all. I will be back tomorrow morning with your Friday morning forecast update. Only one more day to go, and we will be to the weekend finally.